Hey, welcome.
Oh, hi there. Hey, nice to
Hi.
see you.
Yeah, welcome to my open house.
Awesome. This place looks great.
Hi, Adam.
Hey, Fatima.
How are you?
Doing great.
Good. Well, welcome to my channel.
Awesome.
Thank you for coming. It's a great day here. It's 60 degrees in North Carolina.
On February 1st.
Yes, I mean, this is the best state to be.
And we're sitting here in this beautiful open house that we're doing today. Tell me about the type of real estate that you like to do, Fatima.
Oh, well, my name is Fatima Diallo. I'm a real estate agent in North Carolina, and I have an extensive background in real estate financing. Prior to going to real estate itself, I was working in the financing industry in single family and multifamily. I went back to real estate sales per se. I have done real estate investment, but I went to real estate sales. I would say, close to 6 years ago in North Carolina. I do residential only, and I cover the triangle in North Carolina, but I go as far as, Chapel Hill, Greensboro, I go south to Angier, and I have helped a lot of clients in the Raleigh area, in the triangle area in general.
Fantastic.
And I have worked with different background, different profiles of borrowers, young and old.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'd enjoy. Let's talk more about that. I'll tell you about myself a little bit more. As you know, I'm a mortgage lender. I've been in mortgage banking for over 15 years. And I've been with Princeton Mortgage Corporation for the past year and a half or two, which I have huge respect for. Great company. We're licensed in 40 states. I'm personally licensed in North Carolina and Virginia. I enjoy working on the more complicated financial deals. I've spent so many years in banking and finance that
Awesome.
I want to share that knowledge to help people through what they find to be complex, or they're afraid of the system and afraid of how things work. And I want to help people get through it, get to the closing table as effortlessly as possible, and make it happen for them. Help people
Great.
become homeowners.
Great. I have worked on some challenging cases as well. But,
Yeah, we worked on our tough ones.
yeah, we worked on a nice one not long ago. It was challenging,
Right.
but we got it done. So I kind of want to talk about individuals who either have an ITIN number and they are thinking about buying a house in America, but they don't know if they can buy a house in America with an
Right.
ITIN number. And some of them don't even have an ITIN number, but they want to buy a house in America. So as a mortgage lender, let's start with somebody who has an ITIN number. How can they qualify for a house?
Great question. So when you have an ITIN, or ITIN as it's called, one of these numbers is for people who do not have a U.S. Social Security number. And when they have that ITIN number, it allows them to pay taxes on their earnings from work, from owning a small company, or owning even a large company. They are now in the system of the American way of life, and they're here. If they have an ITIN number, I can help them. The situation, so as a mortgage lender, we have all different types of programs and products. We've got from your most traditional, conventional loans that usually have solid down payments, and then you get really low rates for 30 years, all the way to, we do FHA and VA loans, which are for both lower income and then maybe veterans. We have a lot of different programs, and many of those programs are backed by the federal government, and they do require a Social Security number. But we have these ITIN loan programs, which are just offered by lenders that are for-profit businesses, honestly. So the rates are a little bit higher, I'll admit. However, the fact is you can become a homeowner, and these lenders are just looking to do business.
Yeah.
So when they're looking to do business, what do they care about? They don't care about your immigration paperwork. They care that you are legitimately making money.
That's right.
It's about the money, right?
Yeah,
It's always
yeah,
about the money.
yeah.
So look, they're willing to lend you the money now so you can buy the house, but they just want to get paid back.
So
And
what kind of documents then they're going to require?
It's really not as complicated as people think, and we're absolutely not reporting stuff up to the government or anything. I mean, if you're like an international drug dealer and you show up with a bag of cash, yeah, so no cash money, no lying about documents, everything has to be above board. But the documents are actually pretty simple. You need that ITIN document. You have to have a photo ID from a
Yeah.
government institution.
It can be from the government of your own country,
Right.
not America,
If you
right?
have a passport that's valid and still buying that we
You still have to have some valid type of ID. It
Right.
doesn't matter if it's from America or not.
correct. You
Okay.
can have a passport from Mexico, and if you have the next thing is that you do need to have a bank account here in the United States.
Yeah.
And on the ID thing, it's best if you have a U.S. based ID. That helps smooth things over. And if you have, if you do not drive, the DMV will issue a state ID. And I would recommend getting one of those. So
Okay.
get a driver's license or a state ID if you qualify for them, because that helps a lot.
Okay.
The key thing, though, again, getting back away from a government identification, because the I-10 number alone is sufficient. Where, as long as it's true and that number is correct and it matches where you're getting paid.
Yeah.
So in America, we pay people through the tax system, through the IRS, and people typically get a W-2 form or a 1099 form, depending on how they get paid.
Yeah.
And it's important that the I-10 number that they have is the one that's listed on those two documents, the 1099 or W-2.
That's right. That's
And
right.
then if the I-10 number is on that 1099, which is a more common situation, then the 1099, the name there is now matching the bank account name, right? It's all tied together.
Yeah.
People think they might be undocumented, and I'm thinking, no, you've got a lot of documents. You got a bank account. You might have a company that's registered as an LLC, a limited liability corporation. You probably have maybe somebody doing your taxes, a CPA or a registered agent that files your taxes for you. All of those things are important. It's really, that's the thing we learned in our tough case. that-
Yeah.
So if you're missing one piece of it,
Yeah.
it can be harder to
So
get
it's
through.
important to be filing your taxes by a CPA.
Yes,
it's-
if you're trying to get one of these I-10 loans, having a CPA do it for you, yeah, you have to pay them, but they relieve a burden.
Yeah.
They make it easy, first
Yeah,
of all,
yeah.
and then they're an official person who's then vouching for you. You see, it becomes their letterhead that proves the validity of the money you're earning, and that makes the lender much more comfortable in lending the money.
So pretty much, if you have a ITIN number, so you have that ITIN proof of ITIN,
Right.
you need a bank statement.
Right, preferably the same bank for the past 12 months. Don't
Yes.
switch banks every other day.
Yeah,
Get
the
this.
same.
And the bank statement should show your earnings every month.
Yes, yes, and then you also need to have your tax filing records.
Correct.
You know, is it like 1 year or 2 years?
It depends
You
on
should
the
have
program,
filed.
but really 2 years is best for all of this stuff. If you
Okay.
have stability for 2 years in all of these documents,
I see.
we should move smooth sailing straight through.
Okay. And also, I've heard that a lot of people worry about the amount of down payment you need to come
Right.
up with in this kind of situation.
And it
What's
is
the
true.
minimum?
So the minimum, it's tough to find the floor that you can persuade an underwriter to accept. Typically, since they are private lenders, they're looking to make sure that the home buyer has some skin in the game.
Yeah.
That they're not going to default. That's their biggest concern. They don't. So they typically want 20%. There are some that will come down to 15, sometimes 10. But if that's where you're at with an I-10 situation, I would say take your time and maybe build up your down payment a little bit more to get to a little bit higher level, and also make sure that things are just running a little bit more smoothly on your journey
Yeah.
to get everything set up rather than rush into it with only a 10% down payment. The rates are going to be really bad, really meaning very high interest rates, which means a high monthly payment. It might not be worth it.
I see.
So putting a 20% down is the ideal, but there are some ways to go a little bit lower.
Okay. Well, that made me think about something else too, because in my own community, people who don't have a legal status, and they worry a lot about buying a house in America. They feel like they cannot even buy a house in America. So, or they feel like, you know, if they buy a house in America, lender's gonna report them to the immigration.
I have no,
So what do you advise those people? How can they buy a house in America if they don't have a legal status here?
that's really interesting. Like, the lenders are not interested in reporting anybody's legal status at all. we're not in that business. I don't have a phone number to the FBI
Yeah,
or
so
ICE.
the
I don't
bank, the
call
banks,
them. I don't.
yeah. So the bankers are totally separate from the immigration.
It's completely separate
Completely
system.
separate, yeah.
The interesting thing, though, on a positive note, when you buy a house, you're that transaction that you're the owner, you own usually the land under the house and the building. Because you own the land, that gets recorded at the county register of deeds office. Now that's not the police, and they're not checking. I don't work for the register of deeds, so I don't know. But when you do report that, it actually gives you a foothold, a stake in the ground with your name on it. You have a first position on the house.
Yeah.
You're the owner of the house in the county records in the county government. And they can't just take that away from you.
That's right.
It becomes you have a latch into the land. It's a way to actually establish your foundation, to build the roots you want to build.
Yeah.
And why it's like you're afraid that I'm gonna like turn you in. I'm not even asking any questions about.
Yeah, you're just trying to help. You're doing your business. You have nothing to do with them. But for those who don't have a legal status, I'm coming back to my question. If they want to buy a house, so I think the first thing is to try to approach the IRS and apply for an ITIN number.
Yes.
And get a LLC going on, or it's some type of business register.
LLC, right?
Yeah.
So I suggest strongly Googling how to set up an LLC. I've done it myself for my real estate dealings, and it's really simple. It's a small fee to what's called the State Corporation Commission, which is a state level government entity that gives business licenses out.
Yeah.
It's literally like an online thing or a simple form. You start an LLC, now you have an official company. Doesn't cost much at all.
No.
And then you get payments and everything's coming through there. You can open a bank account in the LLC's name.
Yeah.
You can have, start with that ITIN. You start building these things up. You get the IRS to give you the ITIN number. You get the State Corporation Commission to give you the LLC. You get a bank account opened.
Yes, with that ITIN number, you can open a bank account.
You build a great reputation with your current landlord, wherever you're living, so that they give you a good letter of recommendation, or the best case, they are reporting your credit too, if they can get that in. And that's an interesting puzzle. Sometimes ITIN doesn't even show up on credit. So that being said, getting all those things straight and having a year after you started it.
Yes.
Maybe 2 years. Then you can go and buy a home probably with a high degree of confidence.
Yes.
So let's say you start a business today and you have some moderate success. You don't have to start the next Google or Apple computer.
Yes.
The family we were helping, they had a cleaning company. They're just working hard. They go out and find their own clients. They work hard. They get paid well for their hard work. And they deposit the money every time in the bank. Because they have a bank account, they can accept bank payments through Zelle and Venmo and maybe even a credit card. And they can start accepting payments. They can start recording that and have a history that builds up of them being solid wage earners. They're earning money, and they're not wage earners, but business owners. They're making profit on the company. And they can start to achieve that American dream that's been done by my ancestors and yourself, right?
Yeah, so pretty much once you have all those documents in place, you have your 1 year bank statement, you have 1 or 2 years tax filing records. You have enough down payment, which can be anywhere between minimum 15% down payment.
Exactly.
So 15% of the purchase price of the house. That's what we are talking about, down payment.
And I would say if you're like a year, 18 months in, and you've got 15% there, and you're still working on stuff, go ahead and save for the next 6 months, and then get the second tax return, get the 2 years of bank statements. Have 2 years of this success.
Yeah, 2 years to me is not too long.
And you might even need to wait
to be ready,
right?
And buy your own house.
And a lot of landlords are asking for 2 year leases anyways. You have the way to
in our
and you
market.
Can plan ahead, and you won't have the problem of having like, oh, I got to pay 2 house payments. I have to pay my old apartment. It's got still 6 months left on their lease there, and I'm moving into the other place and I have to pay for the mortgage for 6 months.
Yeah.
Why not just time it a little bit better? Well, you have the long run ahead of you, which we all do. We all have a longer future ahead than we want to admit. So
Let's hope.
we want it all to be done today, but if you
Yes.
take your time, you can get there.
Yeah.
And that family that we helped, they had already taken their time.
Yes.
They had, and what was interesting is that they had other realtors and loan officers just not want to deal with them.
Yeah, no, I forgot to tell you that. So when they first approached me, the lender that somebody suggested they go through asked them for $75,000 down payment to buy a house. I'm like, how many people can afford that?
Right, exactly.
Yeah, and
There's
on
an
top of that,
entry-level home for
and
like $250 or $300.
yeah, it was like for $300,000 home.
Right.
And the worst part is they wanted to charge them something like 15% interest rate.
Yeah.
You know, so
And these rates should be, when I say they will be higher, they should be 2 or 3% higher than
the normal
than
rate.
the normal. So the normal rate
Yes.
right now is 7.5.
Yeah, okay.
And then this would be like 9,
Nine.
9.5, maybe something like that.
Yeah.
10 tops.
Yeah, okay. So that's not bad.
It's not.
So pretty much, once Adam pre-qualifies you for a house, so that's when I come to play as a real estate agent. Then I talk to you and see where do you want to buy, how much you can afford, and I always make sure that you're not, you're not paying too much for the house.